Welcome to another episode of Empower Talks. I am your host, Taqi Haider, and today we are diving into the fascinating world of architecture. Our guest is Mr. Pradhan, architect, entrepreneur, and the driving force behind Prashant Pradhan Architects, a design firm based in Gangtok, Sikkim. This is going to be a very insightful conversation for anyone passionate about design, entrepreneurship, or creating spaces that tell a story. So without further delay, let's dive right in. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Prashant Pradhan.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you and the campus, the Inspire Knowledge Campus, for inviting me for this podcast, and I'm very honored to be here.
Okay, so let me start the podcast with the first question. And my first question to you, Prashant, can you tell and share with us what inspired you to pursue a career in architecture?
I guess, the first inspiration could come from the fact that my father is a civil engineer. And also I was born in Delhi when Sikkim was still a country, and my father was chosen to go and build the Sikkim house there. It was then the Sikkim embassy. So I was kind of born in that period. And I guess, growing up with my father being a civil engineer, I got to see construction from very close by. And also around class 8, I had a friend whose father was an architect, and I was I got very excited, thinking that there is something beyond civil engineering, because civil engineering is up to a point. And then, architecture was actually the planning of the structure. So that got me very excited.
Nice. So being from Sikkim, how has the local geography, culture and lifestyle influenced your architectural style and projects?
See, being in Sikkim, I always, let's say, I have this theory or this thesis that says form follows context. Okay, so I grew up in a context where the context is so powerful. So the mountains and the hills and the valleys, they are so powerful. Nature is so powerful that when you are trying to build, you're just trying to adapt yourself to that. So I found that my whole approach to architecture has been to adapt the building to its environment. So that, I think, has led me to that kind of understanding that I should be able to design buildings that are appropriate for that context.
Okay. So could you tell us about a project you have worked on this particularly close to your heart and what it made special or challenging?
See, there are a couple of projects that come to mind for a question like that. What is close to my heart is probably the Taj Vivanta that we did, because that really, I think, tested us in the way that we were able to build and design this hotel.
Okay.
And at the same time, also adapt that to the local culture and the local topography in Sikkim. It was kind of difficult to kind of just build whatever we wanted. It was very specific. Also, Taj and Vivanta had very specific requirements. So it was very interesting and challenging to do that. But, the real challenging project for me, I think, was to do another Taj project, which is the Ama Stays and Trails in Darjeeling. It's a 150-year-old bungalow in Darjeeling, where we designed it, and then it was very much an interior project, but we had to, it was sort of like a renovation project, and we designed it and we got it built also. So that was very challenging, because I've always considered myself to be a modern architect as such, just a designer who knows about the modern architecture. So here I had to bring that sensibility and try to understand, let's say, colonial sensibility and apply that to the modern context. So, and I didn't want to sort of just replicate what was done in the past. So I didn't want to be a post-modern architect, if you know.
Okay, so you're talking about this Taj Vivanta. It's in Gangtok, Sikkim?
It's in Pakyong, yes.
Okay. And how long was the project?
The project actually happened during COVID time, so it took quite long. Yeah, okay. Construction was during COVID time. But I think it took quite a number of years. It opened in 22, I think. Yeah.
Is it a 7-star or 5-star hotel?
It's a Vivanta, so probably like a 4-star in the plains. But the hotel doesn't actually, it's not really a classical, typical Vivanta. It's more like a selections in the Taj brand of hotels. But I think that was the brand that was offered to the clients. So They went with Viva.
Okay, nice. So, what trends do you see emerging in architecture, both globally and regionally, and how do you incorporate or adapt these trends into your work?
Right from, let's say, in dealing with trends, I guess there is a very large part of what is happening right now, dealing with parametric design, parametric architecture. And actually, when I was studying my master's in Amsterdam, we were exposed to it, but I never really took a fascination for it because I really didn't, pursue form building as a kind of a direction of my architecture. I wanted it to be much more somehow deeper than that. So and in the same way, I don't really follow trends because I think trends come and go, and I think buildings should last and stand the test of time. So I mean, I don't know. I have not followed any trends actually.
Okay.
I just do what I think is appropriate for the design.
Yeah,
And
you are creating your own trend.
I am following what I think is right.
Okay, so you were there in Amsterdam, right?
Yes,
and
yes,
you have seen their architecture.
Mm.
And do you see any similarity in Indian architecture to what you see in Amsterdam?
It's hard to say because see, in Amsterdam they control the environment, so all the architecture is very thin. I feel it's very interesting. They do a lot of very interesting things with but a lot of it is on the facade of the architecture. There is a very specialized sort of design philosophy that has to do with the facade of the architecture, whereas in India, I mean, I think our whole system has to do very much with dealing with the environment. So we don't sort of shut ourselves to the environment. We open ourselves to the environment and then we regulate the environment in India. Whereas abroad, what they do is they kind of make a closed box and then they create a new environment on the interior. So I think that is a huge difference between the way architecture, like the building is conceived and perceived, in Amsterdam or New York also, and India. I mean, there are some buildings, I guess, in Bombay and larger corporate buildings which follow that. And I know a lot of hotels also follow that, where you have a very controlled environment, air-conditioned environment. But by and large, I think most of Indian buildings work with regulating the environment.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so as someone who has established a notable career, what advice would you like to give to young aspiring architects, especially those who are from a smaller region?
My only advice that I would give anyone studying design or architecture is try to understand what you're doing, and understanding usually takes time. So I've always said, don't be in a hurry.
Okay.
Try to understand what you're doing and then do something that will sort of allow you to learn something in every project. So don't do projects for the sake of doing projects. I mean, there is a business aspect to it. So that is one thing that I am not very good at, the business aspect of architecture. And there is a kind of I'm trying to strengthen myself in the design aspect of architecture, in the creative aspect of architecture. So yeah, in the management and the design, management and the sort of the business part of architecture, I am not so developed.
But you are running, I think, 2 offices, one in Siliguri, one in...
Yes.
So you are running a business.
It is. I am running. Somehow I feel it's running on its own.
You're being too modest.
No. It's definitely very challenging. I mean, I spend a lot of time, and I probably I don't know. Somehow it's running, I have to say.
Okay, so finally, where do you see the future of architecture heading, especially in the terms of sustainability, urban development in regions like North Bengal, and what are hopes for the future of architectural design in this area?
I think it's very challenging. It's very challenging because regulation is very challenging. Application of regulation is very challenging. Design trends, I mean, again, they will come and go. So I mean, there's nothing more to be said about that. But in terms of the city, I just hope and pray that people like how people want their homes to be beautiful, so they hire an interior designer. Sometimes they hire an architect to make their homes even look beautiful from the outside. But like once you go beyond your property line, all that goes, so there's no sort of communal sense of how we should live together. So I wish that would develop more and not have only gated communities that are well designed, but the whole city is better designed. I would hope that that is a kind of eventual. So when a developer comes, like Ambuja, they develop Uttarayan. It's great, So it's a fantastic place to live. I mean, they show you how you should really live. They develop a quality of life. That's tremendous. But if you go into like the paras inside Siliguri, it has a different character. But I think it's very challenging to live there. I used to actually have an office in Hakimpara long time ago. It was very challenging to have the office there, because one, reaching the office, and secondly the noise levels, and it was definitely very tough.
But I feel that a city like Siliguri is still have not faced what the cities like Lucknow or these capital city are facing. So basically, I'm from Lucknow, right? I went to Lucknow last month,
right.
And I felt that where I've come right now, it's so being there are a lot of pollution is there, but I still feel the cities like Siliguri or small city as a good place to live.
Definitely, Siliguri is a great place to live. I sometimes prefer it over other places, and people question me.
Yeah.
Why Siliguri?
Same here.
But, what Lucknow, I think, or other cities they bring is a kind of heritage value.
Yeah.
That Siliguri is a very new city. It has the potential to be able to design it in the way that you want, or in a more designed manner, in a more. So if you look at Hillcart Road, it's basically Hillcart and Sevok Road. Those are the two major roads. If we just clean up these two roads and make them extremely attractive, that's it. Like half the job is done, I think. But I think what I really like about Siliguri is that it is just at it's like a junction. Everything comes to Siliguri. Siliguri doesn't go anywhere. Everything. So products of Siliguri goes everywhere, but everybody comes to Siliguri, and which is why I really think that it's got tremendous potential, like a lot of potential, and I think a lot of things are like growing, improving, and the city has seen so much growth. I came back in 2007, and from 7 till now, it's been whatever number of years, but I've seen so much growth.
And there are several reasons. Mainly, the international borders are very close: Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. And if you want to go further, China.
China is not too far away. Yes.
And we have 7 sisters.
So
So I would like to ask the next question. How would you define a design, not just architecture or interiors in general? What makes a good design?
That's a very tough question. What makes a good somehow you can always intuitively see, okay, that is good design, that's not good design. You can
that's
just
not
see
a bad design.
But actually if you can see the design, that is not a good design, I feel. If you don't see the design, then if you don't feel that, okay, there is something wrong, then that's good design, because you just experience what you're supposed. So you go to a good hotel, you just feel very nice, you're comfortable, whatever. The moment something goes wrong, you say, oh, that's bad design. So it's easy to identify bad design, and good design is just like, it makes you feel good. I think that it's just that good design gives you a good feeling, and it's also something that I have tried to practice, that good design must be coming from a place of joy. So you should be joyful or happy when you're designing. So nice. That's really important, because if you design when you are in a bad mood or you are going through something bad, I think something bad will come out at the end. The product will be not so nice. And so I think makes you feel good. Good design.
This is very powerful quote. Means this is very much important in every aspect of life.
Absolutely, yes, no doubt. I mean, a well-designed dress, you get into it, it looks good, and you feel good, so then immediately a good car,
Yeah,
like a well-designed
when
car.
somebody giving you, compliment, you feel more good.
Yeah, naturally. Yes, yes.
Okay, so what do you think of Siliguri as a base of architecture or interior design development?
So Siliguri, like any place that is growing very quickly,
Yeah.
is a great place to be in for architecture and for interior design. It has to be, because that is where movement is. I mean, last year I had taken a trip to Europe, and I found that the same places, because I studied there, like I told you, that time I remember that area to be very pulsating and full of life. And last year when I went there, I found that missing, and I was like, why is it missing? Because the growth is in India. So you find Indian cities and malls and wherever the social spaces and everything, it's really happening in India, and everywhere else probably is not happening. So India as a whole is really happening, and Siliguri being such a hub, I think is totally like the right place to be.
Oh, nice. So how many projects are you doing right now?
I totally have lost count. Because the way that we work is that not all our projects are running at the same time.
Okay.
Some are at design stage, some are at approval stage, some are at construction stage. So, and there are it's multiple things happening.
So how many employees are there in your firm?
I think we have totally about 10 or so.
Okay. Nice. In Siliguri and Gangtok?
Siliguri and Gangtok. And we also taken a lot of interns. Like we have taken interns from your institute. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So this is the first time. I mean, I didn't even know this place existed. So when I got to know of it, I was very excited that, because most of our architects and interns, they come from outside. They come from South India, West India, all over.
Okay.
So when I realized that, we could get this talent from local, like locally in Siliguri, it's great. It's fantastic. One thing is great because I don't have to provide accommodation to them, because all the people that come here have to find their place in office and then find a place for them. So yeah, that's quite challenging sometimes.
So you are not thinking to open an office in Metropolitan?
See, part of my life actually is also in Ahmedabad. I also teach in Ahmedabad, the SEPTA University there.
Okay.
So I like to go there, and it has crossed my mind many times to open an office in Ahmedabad. But like I told you, my organizational skills are quite challenged. So already Gangtok and Siliguri is like extending my bandwidth, to an extent where it's difficult to think beyond this.
Okay, so with this we come to the end of podcast, and my last question would be, in a lot of our early discussion with people, you spoke of your mistakes and failure in design. Can you just elaborate on this point? Any failure you did in design, or any challenge did you feel?
So failure or challenge, I think mainly comes from taking on projects and with clients that are very difficult. I mean, that is, but I guess, it's also a thing that when you are younger, you are more at a struggling phase, and also you are willing to take the risk and willing to take, discomfort. But as you grow older and wiser, I think you realize that, you want to, kind of avoid certain type of projects or type of people. You can read people better, and the people that we're working with, I think all my clients, they should be very happy, or I should be very happy that we have a great working relationship. And I think with the synergy, because every project is a synergy between the architect and the client and the contractor. Actually, three of them have to work together. Somebody has to build it, somebody has to finance it, and somebody has to design it, has to conceive it. So, getting this, synergy with different clients, I guess, was difficult initially. So that would be kind of my most difficult period.
Initial part of your career was difficult.
Yes,
it happens to everyone.
It happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. So, in the last session, would you like to say something to our audience?
The last thing I would just like to say is, honesty and integrity is such an important part of design. I think a lot of people think that it is just words. I mean, it is to a large extent. If you just think of them as just words, it's just words. But like to design with honesty, to really understand the problem of the client or the user, or what you are designing for, who you are, what you're designing, and who are you designing for. If you understand all these properly, I mean, just give it some time before you just start coming with solutions. I think that is my only strength, or my process. I mean, that's part of my process. And also sort of architecture and design, I don't think it's a job, really. I don't think it's a job. I think you have to be quite passionate about it, and only then you can create something. If you just think that, yeah, I'm doing a job, I go there, I make a drawing, I give it gets built. I mean, really, the spaces will come out like that, the building will come out like that. I mean, it's just, I just think that there has to be a deeper involvement in doing that. So that comes from a place of honesty and integrity.
That's very important point you have mentioned. So on this note, I would like to end the podcast. Thank you very much for coming in. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Okay. So on this note, I would like to end the podcast. In the next podcast, we will meet some other guests. Till then, please take care of yourself. Bye-bye.